Today's eMoney tip of the week, I'm going to talk to you about how we use the investment report and also 2 portfolio reports. So often I get in arguments with other financial planners out there because I believe so often in our industry we spend so much time on the investment management piece that we neglect what's the important part is the results of a financial plan. What I mean by that, we spend time on the process of how investments are invested and how to do this for a client instead of focus on the results. The client needs to change their life. That's the point of a financial plan. We spend more time worrying about rates of return as opposed to savings rate. In other words, how much are you saving? And that's why I love a cash flow based software like eMoney, because it helps focus that. But at the end of the day, we still need to talk to clients about their investments and make recommendations on it. So what I'm going to show you today is how we have that conversation with clients. I'll do another eMoney tip of the week with a detailed conversation. Today I just want to focus on the reports. So the first and foremost thing is we want to check to make sure that all of your assets are classified. So if you see my other eMoney tip of the weeks, I love to go into base facts. You can go there a lot of different ways, but I love to go into base facts. It's what you see in front of clients. If you had any unclassified assets, they would show up here and say there's unclassified assets. You can also do an investment report and see if there's any unclassified assets. We can also see it right here when we see other. Right, so that's really going to drill down on that red. It's telling you there's probably some unclassified assets in there. Now, this client, I believe everything is the way I want it to be, so I can go into these reports. So I will have this high-level conversation sometimes here about the mean and the standard deviation, explaining how those work inside of Monte Carlo. But let's jump into the reports I told you this eMoney tip of the week is going to be about. So we want to click on our reports tab. We want to click on all reports. I have this reports favorite, but we want to click on all reports here. These are in alphabetical order, and we're going to click on investments. So we love to use this report when we're just having a high-level conversation with the client. What you can see here is their current assets with the recommended. If you're not seeing recommended here, it's because you didn't create a recommended one. You've got to go back to facts, go back to asset allocation, click add, and put a recommended, but I already have the recommended. You can also change the recommended one that's inside of here. But again, if you're having this conversation, you want to show them where they're at to where you recommend they should be. Even if this is almost exactly the same, just to have this that they can take this report. You can include this in some presentations. You can always generate and send it to the vault. But this is going to give them a high-level conversation. It's going to let them know their current assets and how their current assets. You'll see, by the way, there is an unclassified here. So Pam's 401k, we do need to go through and classify this. This is a sample client. Most of my clients, I'm going to already have that conversation and already have this cleared up. I'm going to either want to get their statements or we're going to have these connected. If they're connected and it's not showing up, we want to see the statement so that I can make it show up. We can see exactly how this is allocated and exactly how we would recommend allocating this. One of the other great parts about this is very high level. One of the things I believe as a certified financial planning professional, when you do a financial plan and you give it to a client, they should be able to implement that financial plan anywhere. If they want to use you for investment management, then so be it. But if they want to use another company for investment management or they have stuff in their 401k, they should be able to take your plan and easily implement it. One of the things I like about this report is they can take our investment recommendations, the high-level investment recommendations, and they can implement them. But there's a bunch of sub-reports in here. So you'll see anytime you click into a report, you get a drop-down. It's a quick way to get it to your reports instead of going back to reports or clicking reports up here. But in these sub-reports, the first one's asset allocation. This is one we like to use. And then you can also, in each one of these, you can change how detailed it is. You can also compare it to a different plan. So for example, if you've done a reallocation change or what's called reinvestment side of advanced planning, then you can go ahead and show them the comparison of the two. But let's look at some of these sub-reports that we like to use. So the other one is going to be the holdings gain loss. And this won't be as great because this is a sample client, but for a lot of our clients, and we have this connected, if we're managing their investments especially, we're going to be able to see all their gains and losses. So I always want eMoney to be my communication tool. I don't want to use a performance reporting software or the custodian that I use software, because I want the client to be, this is the area that they get used to see the information. It becomes my language that I use with clients. So this is really quickly, they can see what their gain and loss is on here. Not as impactful as you can see on this, because I don't have this client as a sample client where we have all the cost basis in here, but very, very helpful for clients. We do have that in here. Another one I love in here is the holding details. So this is going to show the actual holdings inside of each one. So you can see inside of Pam's 401k, it's ABC stock. By the way, in each one of these, you can pick only the retirement assets or the non-qualified assets. These are called groups. Or you can pick the individual accounts. So you can go to Jim's 401k. How's Jim's 401k? He has no holdings inside of there, so it's not showing up. And that's why you don't see as many on here, because it's a sample client. But it's really, really awesome to be able to see that on a certain group of assets. The next one that we really love inside of here, so we have our gain and loss, we have our asset allocation, is we want to go and look at the account history. So again, if you have this connected to some type of accounts, you can see how these have grown over time. So here you can see your 529, Dwight's 529, Jim's 401ks, these different balances. Now, these aren't connected, these aren't live accounts. It's a sample client, so you can notice this is 180 from the time I entered it. But you can see an account history. Great report to see what the account history, again, you can generate this and you can send it to the vault. So a lot of great information that you can get in here. We don't use a lot of these other ones, stock by sector. You can go through all these different ones and see which one makes sense for you. But the ones we love: asset allocation, holdings detail, holdings gain loss. Account gain loss report is just a higher level version of the holdings gain loss. Group summary, which I didn't show you. This is great because remember I showed you these are all groups. So it's going to show you what's inside of each one of these groups. That can sometimes be useful as well too. The next thing we want to show is when you're having this conversation with clients, there's two other reports you can use, which is the portfolio analysis. And so we're going to click back on reports. We could go with that drop down. We're going to click all reports. So you can see right here, portfolio analysis. And the other one I'm going to show you is the portfolio reinvestment. So let's look at portfolio analysis. This is when you want to analyze what a client currently has. So this is a client that maybe you've gotten the whole financial planning conversation done with, and you want to start to drill down on investments and talk to them about maybe modern portfolio theory and make changes in here. And so you can see right here, it's going to create the efficient frontier. For those of you who aren't familiar with modern portfolio theory, we don't have the time to go through that, but it's going to let you see where their current assets are and where they're break it down to assets that are taxable versus non-taxable, right? And just going into here, we can go into a summary. So there's two reports in here. It's going to get a little bit more details on this. Now, how do we get this? This is the question I have all the time. You have to actually go back to plans. You have to go down here to overview and go to a portfolio analysis, and you have to create one. So if you go in here and you don't see anything, it's because you haven't created a portfolio analysis. So you'll just have to go here to add one, and then you can go to go, and it just automatically creates this inside of here for you on the portfolio analysis. Let's show you the last one. And so we're going under reports, we're going to all reports, we're going to go under P's for portfolio, and this is portfolio reinvestment. And of the three that I'm showing you, this is the one we use the most. So it automatically goes to base facts. You can see that it has no portfolio display. If you go to one of my other eMoney tip of the weeks, I'll walk you through how we run a client through a reinvestment strategy. It's in our base plan. It's in eMoney tip of the week number 28, where we go through this and we talk to you about how to build out this reinvestment strategy. But again, we're going to click here. So where you see it says base facts, we're going to click down to alternatives. And we already have this turned on in alternatives. And we're going to click update here. Excuse me, alternatives one. And we're going to click update here. And now you can see high level of what their current investment is to what I'm recommending here. So it's just a great way when you're showing these strategies to say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, this is what I was talking to you about. Here's what I want to do to make these changes to your portfolios, and you can get the detailed report. Again, all these reports you can generate here and send them to their vault. We hope this tip helped educate and empower you to do more plans for your clients so that you can impact more lives through financial planning. If you have some great tips we don't know about, we'd love to hear about them. If you have a better way of doing what we just showed you, we'd love to hear about that, because we are a noble profession, and together we can elevate the profession.